Guys, it's Saturday morning here. Getting ready to get started. We got the little fuel cell come in. It does have the wrong filler neck on it, and the picture showed it had a flange, and it does not have a flange. It was a pretty good deal. Priced out options, how quick I get a different one. I've decided to keep this one, and I've ordered like a two-piece filler neck with the lock ring that drops inside. So I'll cut this wide mouth off, insert that, drill it out, silicone it in, bolt it up, and we're going to do an 1.5 inch diameter hose output off of this. Fuel cell is pretty nice. It's got a rollover valve built in, single fuel pickup, no return line, so I'll have to tee the return line back into the, I'll have to tee the return line in. I've done that in the past, not had any trouble. Hopefully we don't have any trouble with it this time either. So I just teed in before the pump, and I've run like that for a long time on different rigs. I do it a little bit different on that one, but anyway, we'll see how it works. If it doesn't work, we'll figure something else out. Not that big a deal. Anyway, we shouldn't have any issue with that. So that's kind of where we're at. It's kind of what we're working on, and we'll see how this goes. And today I'm going to be working with a little bit of aluminum. I got to make like a mounting pan and a little bit of a heat shield back here. I'm going to go ahead and cut out part of the old exhaust. As I explained in an earlier video, it's not in good shape anyway. So it's got to be rerouted, so I'm just going to cut it off where it's out of the way, so at least we can test run it and before we get it up to the muffler shop. But anyway, guys, we'll see how this goes. I'll keep you updated. Hopefully we're done with the setbacks. I've ordered a few things for the electrical to get that kind of sorted out, and anyway, I hope to have some real progress made this week. Anyway, thank y'all. Hey guys, I got this performance muffler cut out of here. She was making a little contact with the suspension links, a little smashed in there. I'd say we about halfway crushed or better. Anyway, hard mounted to a tab. I mean, it just kind of took it all out. It's not rusty. There's a good part. That's a nice part about coming from Arkansas. But anyway, I got this hole cleared out a little bit. Like I said, we're going to reroute all that exhaust. I'm just trying to get all this opened up. So I'm going to work on building a aluminum tray. I'll support it with some steel. And I'm going to see if I can make like a skid that my battery and my fuel cell will both mount on and slide up in this hole and get it attached. It'd be pretty nice if I could attach it all to the skid and then slide it in and just like, bolt the whole thing in and not have to deal with each individual piece. Well, that's kind of going to be my goal. We'll see how this goes, but yeah, a little bit more room to work, cut some brackets off, whatnot. Still got some old varnish fuel dripping out everywhere. I have to be careful with that. Smells lovely. Anyway, we'll go from there. I just want to show y'all something. I had a Smittybilt nutsert tool, and I broke the 1/4 inch die. Not die, but the 1/4 inch adapter, 1/4 20. So I had a little pistol grip I picked up that works pretty good on really small, but I just had my wife pick this up yesterday. Yeah, it's from the harbor. Feels really nice. It's actually got a spring return on it. And this is what I'll be using for installing most of the nutserts on this rig. So I really like working nutserts. I've used them up to 1/2 inch. If I use that big, anything over 3/8, I tack them in place as well. But they work pretty good, and I would advise, like on the 1/4 inch and smaller, 1/8 inch is really about as thick as you want to try to put them through. They don't really bite if it's thicker than that. But they do install pretty nice. I had some pieces out there. I guess I put them up. But anyway, I like using them. It just makes access and stuff, especially if it's something you're going to have to get back into. So like all the aluminum work and stuff like that, I'll install with nutserts. So anyway, guys, we'll catch back up. We'll see how this is going. Thank you. Oh, hey guys. Look. Sometimes when you dig around the shop, you find something from an old project, and this here is some perforated bridge decking material I bought a while back. I used a bunch of it for like limb protection and stuff on the back of the Samurai. Anyway, the back seat bulges out, the cage inverts out with it, and I didn't want to run a stop through it. So I've got this perforated and dimpled material here. I'll run a wire brush over it and clean it up. But this fits really nice where I cleaned out that hole in the back end of the rig. And so, dimensionally, it's right about where I want it. And there's a lot of stuff rattling in here. Hold on. Let's see what we got. Oh, I put my invoice. Let's see here. Oh, got some barb fittings, ain't into barb, fuel lines, Summit catalog. I think there's more. Another barb fitting, and let's see here. Anyway, there's a sticker, I think. There we go. And let's see. Oh, look at this. Oh. There we go. There's a barbed A&N 90 in there. After the film the last video, got thinking about it, and the return to the pickup might not work because this is a looped, it's not a gravity fed. So I was worried about maybe getting air in there and having some cutting up. So I ordered another bulkhead fitting. I got to modify the top anyway. So the fuel filler has provision in a center point punched for a sending unit. I'm not going to be running a sending unit. I like to just take my chances there. But so I'll put the return with that bulkhead A&N fitting through the top here when I put the new housing on. But one of the cool things I think I get this built up is everything fits pretty good. And it's going to drop that weight down in there further. So I'll do like some bolt-in angle iron here on the front and back to hold it from moving. And then I'll run a strap up over it. And the reason I'm bolting the angle iron is I do plan to go to like an Optima or something a little more compact than this battery. But we're on a timeline, playing with the budget. I don't enjoy playing with the budget, but I got to on this one. And so I'm going to be using this battery for the time being. I've got plenty of material. I got some 1-inch by 3/16 flat stock here. I'll bend, weld it in back here, bend it over, put some tabs here to bolt the fuel cell in. That should hold it good. And I've got various, I got some 1.5" by 8 and some 2" by 1/4, which is way overkill. But I have a lot of this material. So what I'll do is basically build a little bit of a platform for this skid to go in on, and I'll burn it inside, and once I drop this skid down in there, I'll probably take and just burn that to the supports I made, and we'll have it there. I don't really want to bolt it because I don't want the bolt heads up underneath this poly fuel tank, and I don't have a lot of lip. So I think that's going to work out pretty good. Should be good and secure. Should fit well. I think it's gonna work. This material, I've used it on a lot of stuff, and I still have quite a bit. We bought a bunch of it. I think we got like a 12-foot section and like a 10-foot section, 3-foot wide, and then another scrap. I think we bought it all for like $60 off this old boy. So it's come in really handy. It's been pretty good material. I've used it for a lot of stuff. I've got some cooking grates made out of it. We use it all over the place. So anyway, I was walking around looking, and the dimensions looked about right, and I put it up in there. It fits pretty nice, and I think it's what we're going to go with. So that's kind of where we're at. I've taped off my fittings to make sure I don't get any metal down in the tank. I will have to shop vac and flush it all out. It has a nice rollover valve. This side has a pickup with a tube that runs back. I'm going to mount it like this with the tube run back, because I'm much more concerned with stalling on an uphill if I'm lower on fuel than on a downhill. Downhill, gravity will kind of help you out. But going uphill, you suck a little air, you got problems. So the pickup tube kind of drops down and runs in, comes back over to about this corner. So I think that's probably the best position to put it in for what I'm trying to do. So It's a pretty stiff hose. If it was looser, I would attach put like a heavy nut over it so it would gravity and come to the back. I don't think I have to worry about that on this setup right here. So I think this is all going to work pretty good. That's kind of where we're at. So anyway, guys, we'll check back in, see how this is going. Ah! Oh, hey guys, he caught me in a bad moment. Been fighting this thing a little bit today, as every day. But anyway, I've did a lot of plasma cutting, made a lot of smoke, cut a ton of junk off of there, made a little bit of clearance. Apparently I dimmed the lights in the house a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, it's an older house, older wiring, but we survived, no fires. So here we go, guys. I got that plate in there. I need to lay some bracing. Bring that front edge up just a hair. That'll drop this down a little bit. I got to put a couple tack welds to secure this in. It wasn't adhere, it's not in very good. So I'm going to secure that in. I'll seam weld this across. Brace that front, weld that. But first I'll get my brackets made on everything. And, but anyway, actually it fits pretty good. A little worried about how this top plate's going to go in, but I'm not all that worried because we have a ton of aluminum and there's nothing that says I even have to reuse this. So there's not even any guarantee I'm not just going to rip all this plate out and start over. But considering I've already made my mount holes for my radiator and I kind of like where it sits, there's not much of a chance of that. But anyway, I think everything's going to fit nice and tight. I'll get my straps laid right in these grooves, bring it down, bolt it in. I think fuel's going to be good. I'll get my battery adhered. I honestly think that at some point I will have to change this battery out. And at that time, here, walk over here, guys. I think you can see this better where the battery's sitting. I think that we can actually fish an Optima through the cage back in there, and I should be able to work with my drill and make the new mounts, and we'll just bolt it up when I get the new one in there. I use them little aluminum Optima trays. I've seen they got like 3 fingers that come in and grab around the spiral wound of the battery, hold them down from the bottom. They make packaging pretty nice. I'll probably do something like that just to make it a little bit easier to get it all put together. But that's where we're at, guys. I'm going to try to not let my anger get to me. I'll do my best not to take the hammer to it. Zeppelin's trying to talk me down. But anyway, I'm just kidding. We're making progress, so it's all good. So anyway, I hope y'all enjoying your Saturday. And we've about got smoke out of the shop now from the plasma cutter, so we're going to seal her back up and get back to work. Hey guys, working on this fuel and battery skid here. We were going to tack in some angle iron, but then we were like, no, we really want to go to this Optima, so I don't want anything in the way. So the compromise, I don't like working up underneath there, and this is a really good material for using these inserts. So we're going to use 5/16 inserts. So what you do is you pilot hole and you drill where it just barely drops in. I'm a big fan of these step bits, Harbor Freight. But anyway, I actually use their step bits for starters. The higher end ones, like the blue and the red grade, they do great. It's pretty much all the bits I use anymore. I've gotten really lazy with that, but they don't break and they just keep working. So what I've done, I've drilled 4 holes here, and if you notice, I've got these plates with the holes drilled in them, and I'll plate a little 1-inch angle. And all these are going to do are going to control the lateral movement of the battery. So I'm going to go ahead and install these 3 nut certs. I've already put one in. I just want to check fitment, and they're doing really good. And so what I'm going to do is put these in, and we'll put the angle iron up against to hold the battery from side to side, and then I will build a strap to come over, and I'll put more inserts in. And so once we get the battery in place, we can have these 2 outers in there, slide the battery over up against the outers, bolt these in, and then slide our strap over, and just from the top secure it down. So I don't know, this is my Smitty belt, my bigger one. I prefer it for anything over 1/4 inch, and you just start your, I'm sure most of y'all have used these. If you haven't, you should start practicing with them because they're pretty nice. And the main thing you want to do, you just want to make sure when you squeeze it, you're pretty well square. And I give it an initial crimp, and then I run my nut back, my turning tool back down, and I give them a second crimp. And I that's it, man. That is set. Give it a little peek from the back. So we have a really good bulge around the flange. And if you've never used these nut certs, they have like a splined shoulder. And what you're looking for is those splines to dig into the metal. If you're doing something you're worried about, if you'll take like a burr bit or you're doing like a little hacksaw and put a little notch in the side of your hole, when it conforms, it'll conform to that, and that locks it in. It cannot turn. But I can assure you, this nut cert inserted into this steel, I could probably put 5/16 bolt. I know on 3/8 I tested them up over 80 without spinning, and that's where I just quit because it's a 3/8 bolt. It shouldn't go that high. But on the 5/16, I'd almost guarantee this is going to hold at least 50 pounds with a torque wrench. So really nothing to worry about. You shouldn't be torquing 5/16 that high anyway. So I'm telling you, once you go from having to have back up and a wrench on the top and bottom to starting using these inserts, you're going to look for excuses to use them. So that's it, guys. That's an insert. Like right there. Overall thickness of this metal, I'm using the 5/16, so a little bit thicker shoulder. I would have to measure it. I would say this is probably just over 1/8 of an inch. This is probably, I don't know the actual gauge. I'd guess it's roughly 10 gauge steel. Again, estimate. I haven't checked it with the metal gauge there. I have one on my welder, but I just treat it as 1/8 inch for welding purposes and whatnot. So look at that, guys. That's all there is to it, and that's set. So yeah, it's a little bit more setup time than just punching holes. I get that, but when you go to work with them, yeah, we don't have enough weight. Hold on. When you go to working with them, I'm making a huge mess here. But you do want to make sure they don't hit under your brackets, of course. But I'll be able to put this right here and then start my bolt. And then I'll put this one right here, start my bolt. Now these bolts can stay in. There's no reason to have to take these back out. And yeah, it's a single bolt, it's a pivot point, I get that, but with two of them working together, they can't pivot, you know what I mean? So this should hold just fine, and then when we walk over this way, I'll pivot the table. But anyway, now then we just got to get our impact. I would put it on stun. Like I said, it's just a 5/16 bolt. But we put this on here, and there we go. The cool thing is I can install this without this in here, so I can slide the battery into position through that hole. And then if you look, guys, I mean, it's bit in already. And so once I get a strap over this, of course I mounted it backwards, the terminal's got to go to the outside, but anyway, I think you get the picture. And we'll be able to adjust it back and forth a little bit. So that's it, guys. That's how I do my nut certs, and we'll do a time lapse of bending some strap here in a minute. That'll be new for me. I've never actually bent my own straps, so see how that goes. Alright, guys, we've bent our 3/16 by 1 inch flat stock, bent it in the vise. We got a piece of rubber up here to isolate it. It comes down and grabs both ends here. I do not think this is going to be able to come out. Over here we offset the bolt for clearance on the cross member we put in. So I doubled up the meat and made like a little, little extra keep spring tension on here. I'm pretty comfortable that this is going to hold at this point. So it can't move side to side, it can't move front to back now, and it should not be able to come up top. And we do the full clamp over battery connection, so there's really no chance of it grounding out. Walk over here with me. This is, we can see up in here, but this is, we have a cross member for that plate to come in and catch on. So at this point, we're ready to install that plate. I think we're just going to come out with fuel tank mounts off that bulkhead and come forward, and we will bolt them down into the floor pan here. That's the plan as of right now. I think that's how we're going to mount that fuel tank. So anyway, guys, we're going to keep plugging away. Thank you. Hey, guys, just wrapping up down here at the shop. It's been quite a day. Just kind of do a walk past to this thing. We got the little bug eyes, frog eyes, whatever you want to call them. Oh, we still got a lot to do. I got to remove this filler neck because we're not going to be able to use that. I got my new piece in to go through here today. I'll probably put a plate over that hole I cut in the body. For the time being, it won't be visible once the fenders are done and aluminum in. But we're going to run, when I put my Optima in, we'll do a dual terminal style. So we'll run some jump posts up through the fender here and have a couple jump start nubs right there. So that's kind of the direction we're going. May not seem like much, guys, but we've got 15 gallons, 12 bolts, and about 1,000 little holes underneath here. But it's all pretty sturdy. Straps are a little off. I will probably have to lay some rubber hose over them to let them take up slack. It's solid. I shook the rig around with it. It didn't move. I'm not worried about it. But yes, my first time bending the material, and I probably should have went with 1/8 inch instead of 3/16. That's probably where I messed up. It's a little stiff to be bending like that. But anyway, that's where we're at, guys. Like I said, filler neck's coming. Radiator will sit behind it. So all that, and you can see up there where I got the paint marks. That's where my lines come out of the tank. I'll be trimming that material out. We'll rebuild what we have to rebuild, guys. I got a lot of guys asking me if this thing's going to run. Yeah, it's going to run. I mean, whether it runs with this engine and transmission or another one, we've committed to going down to Dayton at the end of February for the Dayton Off-Road Expo. I'd like to go run it through the woods a few times before we get there. I know Zeppelin would. So, yeah, it's going to run one way or another. What components are going to run, that's up in the air. But I'm going to say at this time, we're going to go ahead and get this one running with the engine and transmission that's in it. So, be patient, guys. I'm fond of my shop. I don't want to burn it down. And I found enough stuff that bothers me. I'm going to take the time to try to get it all sorted out. So, look, I appreciate you joining me again tonight. Hope you're enjoying the build. Y'all have a great evening. Enjoy your Sunday. And we'll catch up this week.